55 seconds. They might sometimes fly away like nothing, but for Dale Earnhardt, these 55 seconds must have felt like eternity. Those 55 seconds felt as if time had stopped for the whole world, when the sound of the roaring engines faded and the horrifying silence took over. On February 18, 2001, the world of NASCAR was forever changed. Dale Earnhardt Sr., the legendary racer known as the Intimidator, tragically lost his life on the final lap of the Daytona 500. The Daytona 500, the most prestigious event in NASCAR, was underway, drawing millions of viewers to witness the thrills and drama of stock car racing at its finest. Earnhardt's fatal crash occurred during the 2001 Daytona 500, a race known for its high speeds and intense competition. NASCAR's rules required the use of a carburetor restrictor plate at Daytona and Talladega Superspeedway, adding an extra layer of challenge for drivers. Leading up to the race, Earnhardt had voiced concerns about the state of NASCAR racing, criticizing rule changes that he felt diminished the sport's competitive nature. Despite these challenges, Earnhardt remained a formidable presence on the track, demonstrating his skill and determination throughout the race. The circumstances: it was February 18, 2001, and the Daytona 500 was gearing up for another epic showdown. You could feel the buzz of excitement in the air, like static electricity before a storm. And right in the thick of it was Dale Earnhardt Sr., the man, the myth, the legend himself. Known far and wide as the Intimidator, he was the epitome of everything NASCAR stood for: speed, skill, and pure grit. With 7 NASCAR championships under his belt, Earnhardt wasn't just a racer, he was a living symbol of the sport's soul. As the Daytona 500 hurtled towards its climax, Earnhardt was right in the mix, battling tooth and nail for that coveted position. His black number 3 car cut through the pack like a hot knife through butter, every move calculated to perfection. But then, in the blink of an eye, the whole scene shifted. On the final lap, chaos broke loose as Earnhardt's car got tangled up with Sterling Marlin and Ken Schrader. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion, the kind of moment you never forget. The impact sent Earnhardt careening towards the retaining wall at breakneck speed, the sound of metal crunching against concrete echoing through the stadium like a gunshot. For a split second, it felt like time itself had frozen. Fans held their breath as they watched the unthinkable unfold before their eyes. When Earnhardt's car finally came to a stop, it was nothing but a twisted wreck of metal and debris. And just like that, the racing world was plunged into darkness. The Daytona 500, once a celebration of speed and skill, was now shrouded in tragedy. Earnhardt was rushed to Halifax Medical Center, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead shortly after arrival, the victim of a basilar skull fracture, a fatal injury that claimed his life in an instant. And just like that, the world lost one of its brightest stars. But Earnhardt's legacy would live on, etched into the very fabric of NASCAR history, a reminder of the risks and rewards of life in the fast lane. In the closing moments of the Daytona 500, Earnhardt found himself in a fierce battle for position, with victory tantalizingly close. However, tragedy struck on the final lap when Earnhardt's car made contact with Marlin and Schrader, sending him careening into the wall. As the 2001 Daytona 500 reached its climax, anticipation hung thick in the air. Dale Earnhardt Sr., a legendary figure in the world of stock car racing, was in the midst of a fierce battle for position, his eyes set on the coveted checkered flag. In the closing moments of the race, Earnhardt found himself locked in a tight pack of cars, jostling for position as the finish line loomed ahead. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, he pushed his number 3 Chevrolet to the limit, determined to seize victory once again. But fate had other plans. As the cars thundered through the final turn of the final lap, chaos erupted. Earnhardt made contact with Sterling Marlin's car, sending him careening off course and into the path of Ken Schrader. In a split second, disaster struck. Earnhardt's car collided head-on with the concrete retaining wall, the impact shattering the tranquility of the Daytona International Speedway. At speeds approaching 160 miles per hour, the force of the crash was devastating, tearing the right rear wheel assembly from the car and sending his hood slamming against the windshield. As the wreckage came to rest on the infield grass, the full extent of the tragedy became painfully clear. Earnhardt, once a force to be reckoned with on the racetrack, now lay motionless, his life extinguished in an instant. In the chaos that followed, fellow drivers and race officials rushed to the scene, their hearts heavy with grief and disbelief. But amidst the wreckage, there was little that could be done. Dale Earnhardt Sr., a titan of the sport, had been taken from them far too soon. As the checkered flag flew and the roar of engines faded into silence, the racing world stood in stunned silence, grappling with the enormity of the loss. Earnhardt's death sent shockwaves through NASCAR, leaving an indelible mark on the sport he had dedicated his life to. In the days and weeks that followed, tributes poured in from around the world, honoring Earnhardt's legacy and celebrating his remarkable career. But even as the racing community mourned his passing, there was a sense of determination to carry on his legacy and ensure that his death would not be in vain. For Dale Earnhardt Sr., the final lap of the 2001 Daytona 500 marked the end of an era, but his spirit would live on in the hearts and minds of those who knew and loved him. As the sun set on the Daytona International Speedway that fateful day, it cast a solemn reminder of the dangers faced by those who dared to chase their dreams at breakneck speeds. Earnhardt's death sent shockwaves through the racing world, prompting an outpouring of grief and reflection on the dangers of the sport. He was the fourth NASCAR driver to succumb to a basilar skull fracture within 8 months, underscoring the urgent need for safety improvements in auto racing. The tragedy unfolded live on television, witnessed by more than 17 million viewers, amplifying its impact and prompting calls for change. In response, NASCAR launched an intensive focus on safety, implementing new measures such as head and neck restraints and safer barriers at tracks. Earnhardt's passing cast a long shadow over the sport he loved, leaving a void that seemed impossible to fill. But amidst the grief, questions emerged about the circumstances surrounding his death and what could be done to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. NASCAR wasted no time in taking action. Recognizing the need for improved safety measures, the organization embarked on an intensive effort to enhance driver protection and minimize the risk of similar accidents in the future. One of the key initiatives implemented was the introduction of mandatory head and neck restraints for all drivers, designed to prevent the type of basilar skull fracture that claimed Earnhardt's life. Additionally, NASCAR mandated the installation of safer barriers at oval tracks, including Daytona International Speedway, to provide an extra layer of protection for drivers. But safety improvements didn't stop there. NASCAR also implemented rigorous new inspection rules for seats and seatbelts, ensuring that all equipment met strict safety standards before drivers took to the track. These measures addressed concerns raised by Earnhardt himself about the quality of racing equipment and its impact on driver safety. In the midst of these changes, NASCAR also focused on developing new technologies to enhance driver protection. This included the creation of a roof hatch escape system designed to facilitate rapid extraction of drivers from their vehicles in emergencies. Perhaps most notably, NASCAR began work on the Car of Tomorrow, a next-generation race car with enhanced safety features. The COT incorporated lessons learned from Earnhardt's death and was designed to minimize the risk of catastrophic injuries in high-speed crashes. As NASCAR pressed forward with these safety initiatives, the racing community came together to honor Earnhardt's memory and reflect on his enduring legacy. His impact on the sport was undeniable, and his loss served as a stark reminder of the risks faced by drivers every time they raced. In the wake of Earnhardt's death, NASCAR underwent a period of introspection and reform, striving to make the sport safer for drivers. His passing served as a catalyst for change, leading to advancements in vehicle design, track safety, and driver protection. Earnhardt's legacy endures as a reminder of the risks and rewards of auto racing. His fearless spirit and competitive drive continue to inspire generations of fans and drivers alike, ensuring that his memory will live on in the annals of motorsports history.